My name is Dan Lawton. I'm from New Orleans, grew up on the North Shore in Mandeville, and I got into the creative writing program about a year ago. I've been working in journalism and different forms of digital media. I've always had a passion for writing, specifically nonfiction writing, and kind of wanted to fuse some of the journalism work that I was doing with longer, more nonfiction, I guess just longer pieces. When I was finished with high school, I wanted to go as far away as possible, so I went to Colorado and all these different places and lived abroad for a while, but ended up coming back here and finding that, it really inspired me more than any other place. I think there's so much literary history here, whether, you're walking by Pirates Alley where Faulkner used to live, and Faulkner used to be shooting a BB gun, out of this window at these nuns in a convent over here, and somebody tells you that story, and you're like, wow, this is fantastic, I'm immersed in this, I'm part of this, or you're walking, by a statue of Ignatius Reilly from, Confederacy of Dunces, and you read a book like that and you can see those scenes kind of play out, or if you're reading something like Streetcar Named Desire. I mean, it's just you feel like you're walking through literary history every moment that you're living in New Orleans. New Orleans has such a mythical, artistic feeling to it, so it just made sense to be here and to be in a place with such a rich writing tradition that's just so inspiring. So I've been fortunate enough to do a lot of writing here for local newspapers, and one of the things that I enjoy doing, I guess, is kind of profiling people, and often it's people who may not be thought of as we think of subject of profiles as often being celebrities or musicians or somebody who's done something incredibly exotic, but I guess just today I was working on a profile of a guy who's a chaplain down at the racetrack here, just an incredibly interesting life. I worked on a piece maybe a few months ago on a teacher at one of our private schools here, a female math teacher, a geometry teacher who she doubled as a female boxer in the evening, and so you find these sort of rich kind of slice of life stories that are just often right in front of you. For me, as a writer, I've always been drawn to the idea of profiles and the idea that, often in just the stories of everyday lives, we found these grander narratives emerge that touch us, and that resonate within us. And so I think specifically to be able to do it in the audio format is really, really cool. In the sense that it gives it a different dimension and a different power and a different energy. And as a writer, so often you are working with your voice. We use this term, your voice, but you're just on the page, and sometimes you can feel a little flat, and there is a real power, a real robust power to being able to do an audio story. So it's something I'm really excited and enthusiastic about. As soon as my feet hit the pavement of the walking path that encircles Big Lake at City Park, I could make out the pitter-patter of drums in the distance. Step by step, the beat escalated, blooming into a chorus of djembes, congas, and bongos as I approached the dock where gondolas and paddle boats rested. There, sitting in a loose circle, were the ghost-like silhouettes of a dozen or so drummers, all pounding with passion and attention on their instruments as the full moon beamed from above. The occasion was the Full Moon Drum Circle, a meetup of New Orleans percussionists that happens monthly at City Park. The event is organized by a New Orleans drummer who performs with Big Chief Monk Boudreaux and a number of other local acts. It's just about creating a good vibe, a great mood, and giving people something to do besides watching TV, he said. Within minutes of arriving, I was given a drum and offered a seat in the circle. I did my best to find a groove. Sitting next to me was Robin Loda, a freelance writer, tarot card reader, who had been coming to the drum circle regularly over the last few months. A self-proclaimed deep goddess worshiper, she wore a giraffe print headband and cowrie shells, and spoke passionately about the feminine connection she felt to the moon. There was no set cadence to the music, but instead the beats ranged between rapid-fire riffs to slow, melodious thuds that would eventually fade out into momentary silence before a new crescendo of sound emerged.